we need to work effectively towards peace.
Okay.
Since the UN cannot do it, or was not able to do it, since the Quartet for many years were not able to do it, why not this type of mechanism, which is a bit more nimble, a bit more agile, a bit less formal, which is not, which doesn't have any veto in his composition, then we could come up with a solution that we haven't seen before.
The Pope has declined Donald Trump's invitation to take part in the US President's Board of Peace due to concerns that it seeks to undermine the United Nations. The snub, announced earlier today, means the Pontiff has joined an ever-growing list of nations who've refused to participate, including the UK. The organisation, created by the US President, was designed to oversee Gaza's demilitarisation and reconstruction, and its inaugural meeting takes place in Washington tomorrow. Joining me is Eric Alter, non-resident senior fellow with the Atlantic Council and former United Nations civil servant. Eric, welcome along. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
It is the eve.
We're pleased to be with you.
Yes, well, it's lovely to have you with us. It is the eve of this inaugural meeting of the Board of Peace, and a snub by the Pope. Will this derail things somewhat, or will Donald Trump not be bothered by this at all?
Yes, no, by the Pope is normal. The Vatican is not a state, and this was the answer given by the Vatican itself. But other countries are effectively boycotting the full membership of the Board of Peace, and a number of them have properly declined, and a number of others are just taking an observer status. So there are a lot of concerns with the Board of Peace, and mainly from European countries. They might understand that the Board of Peace was initially only for Gaza and tried to get the reconstruction and rebuilding of Gaza. Then it happens that maybe the ambit or remit of the Board of Peace is much wider than that. So this is the first concern. The second concern, I think, is about the President Trump personal control over the Board of Peace with his for life membership of the board and chairmanship of the board. One other concern is the potential, and maybe this is the main concern, I would say, is the potential to undermine the United Nations, and in particular the Security Council. And so in saying that, we have to say as well that it's not entirely true, because there is no appetite to replace the Security Council. That the Board of Peace is aiming to do, at least in my opinion, is just to supplement the Security Council and to provide a new, I would say, board mechanism to try to complement the Security Council and to address a number of shortcomings that the Security Council is well known to have. The Board of Peace is much nimble structure. The Board of Peace has a diverse composition. We understand from the operation of a Board of Peace that it is only interested in on-the-ground implementation as well. So for many reasons, this is something that can be helpful to try to solve at least the Gaza situation.
Yeah, and as I said, running alongside this is that meeting of the UN Security Council chaired by our Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper. And that is sort of running alongside this, albeit the Board of Peace will meet tomorrow in Washington in the US Institute of Peace, and that UN Security Council happening in New York this evening. So you can see sort of how the UK, for one, is getting involved, and whether there is any clash or not. I'm sure that most reasonable people, and Donald Trump too perhaps, will be hoping that maybe both work hand in hand, side by side. Most European countries have distanced itself. The European Union particularly, it says it's not looking to join the Board of Peace over concerns about its charter. So the President, Ursula von der Leyen, has declined her invitation tomorrow night. And there are different levels to this Board of Peace, aren't there? It was unofficially unveiled on the sidelines of Davos, the World Economic Forum. We know that Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, is an executive member. So there is an executive membership, and then the next level down are countries getting involved. Sort of how is it organised, Eric, as far as we understand it?
Yeah, this is sometimes not easy to understand how everything operates. There are a lot of moving parts, and you have to juggle with them, all of them. But the first part is the Board of Peace itself, which is composed of prime ministers, presidents, and kings. The other part of it is the first executive committee, which is linked to the Board of Peace, and it was supposed to take to take decisions on behalf of the Board of Peace. And then you have a third committee, which is the Gaza committee, which is entrusted to deal with the situation in Gaza and try to work towards stabilization and rebuilding Gaza. So these are three components to which you can have the National Committee, a National Administrative Committee for Gaza, which is composed of Palestinians who are not from Hamas and which are not from the Palestinian Authority.
Yeah.
The link between the Board of Peace and the Committee for Gaza and the Executive Committee will be the High Representative for Gaza, the Bulgarian diplomat Nikolai Mladinov. He is the one who will handle the situation on the ground. We will report to the Executive Committee and to the Board of Peace every evolution of the situation, and probably would also put some urgent requests, as we have seen during the Munich Security Conference.
Yeah, and Tony Blair, we know, our former Prime Minister, will be in attendance tomorrow. That was announced earlier today. He's on the first Executive Committee,
yes,
isn't he, alongside Jared Kushner
yes.
and others. And Donald Trump chairs the Board of Peace overall. Are we clear about its objective? I know you've sort of lent into this already, but originally it was all about gathering member nations to announce strategies and funding for the reconstruction of Gaza. And the US is expected to announce £5 billion in funds from member states tomorrow, I understand. Is it still just about that, or is there a framework within it to, first of all, establish peace, surely?
Yeah, sure. No, it's not only about funding, but funding is very necessary if you want to abide by the resolution 2803 from the Security Council of last November, and if we want to begin implement the different steps that are necessary to build back peace in the Strait. So it's not about only funding. You have a lot of things to address, a lot of issues which need to be addressed. First of all, and in addition to the funding, it will be the disarmament of Hamas, which is one key issue, which is not very easy to achieve. And there have been talks here and there in Cairo, in regional capitals, about how to do it, but there is no decision yet. And then there is also the stabilization force, the police, the Gaza police, that will be entrusted to try to bring some relief for all Palestinian people in the Strip. The ISF, as you know, for now we have commitments from Indonesians, one of the biggest Muslim countries in the world. We don't have other commitments from other Southeast Asian countries, but at least is a first step to try to come up to sense that this situation that we have right now, and which, as you know perfectly, is still very tense, needs to end, and that we need to work effectively towards peace.
Okay.
Since the UN cannot do it, or was not able to do it, since the Quartet for many years were not able to do it, why not this type of mechanism, which is a bit more nimble, a bit more agile, a bit less formal, which is not, which doesn't have any veto in his composition, then we could come up with a solution that we haven't seen before.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, look, all is on that tomorrow. Eric Alter, thank you. Non-resident senior fellow with the Atlantic Council and former United Nations civil servant. Good to speak to you.